Hi everybody, my name is Anne. Thanks for joining me on Art on the Creek. I have some fun planned for us today and I'm really glad you're here. We're going to look at something we haven't looked at in a while. We are going to look at oil pastels. Now once again, I'm going to look at those that are blended with water, but this is a different brand than the Neocolor 2. These pastels are Mungyo, and I have the set of 24. They are really nice. If you are looking for a pastel that you can practice with or draw with, keep in your sketchbook, these are really good. I really like them. So let's see what they can do today. And I have something that's exciting to me. I hope it's exciting to you too. I finally was able to get my hands on a really big pad of Sennelier pastel paper. I'm really happy to have this because there's glassine in between each page. So let's take this and let's go make something. Are you ready? Here we go. I want to start by sharing with you some of the things that I think you should have with you or nearby when you're working on pastels. If they're water soluble, you do need some water. So this is the water I use for this project, so it's not clean, but this is just my jar of water that I use for watercolor. So you'll need that. You'll need a jar of clean water, and you'll also need some brushes to blend them with. Now you don't have to blend them with water, but you can, and it makes it really kind of fun. Whenever I'm using either gouache or oil pastels that are water soluble, I like to blend them with a brush that has a Taklon or a nylon fiber. I know that these are golden Taklon. These look like they're golden Taklon. I'd have to look them up. But these Blick Master Stroke shader brushes are so nice because I often prefer to use a chisel-shaped brush because you can get really fine lines and broad strokes. And I really like these. I think the Blick Master Stroke brand is really quite good. And I will put a link to everything in the description so that you can see all of that. This is a Princeton Art brush company. It's just the round. Obviously, it's a Princeton brush. I must have got this with an art kit. I don't know which one this is. Another line that would be really good would be the Princeton Heritage line. I'll see if I can link exactly to this green one, though. I just can't. It's slipping my mind right now. This is a silver crystal angle brush, and I really like these too. This is the same company that makes Silver Black Velvet, which is a nice watercolor brush. But these are really nice. And again, I think they're golden Taklon. Same thing, you can get a fine line, a nice stroke, but with this angle, it does let you get into some really fine spaces, some tight corners easily. So these are kind of what I like to have when I'm blending with oil pastels that are water soluble. To just have some fun blending, you can get some of these. These are silicone tips. Now I got these, let me show you another one here. I have a set. These are the kind that are meant to be used with clay. So they have this little hard ball at the end. It's a little metal tool to make indentations. And the silicone tip, this one's shaped a little bit differently, can also be used to make indentations in clay and so forth. I have two sets of these. I have a set like this and a set like this. I will link to both of them. But these little silicone tips are great for blending pastels. Very, very nice. I did use this one today. And the one other thing that you should have if you're working with pastels is some of these paper stumps and a sharpener. Now you don't need to get one of these. You can just get sandpaper and just use that. But when you sharpen pastels, it's best to do it with an X-Acto knife. I'm referring now to the pastel pencils or soft pastels. You want to sharpen them with an X-Acto knife to just shave off this pencil, the wood portion, and then get down to a point by shaping it with this. And you can see I have used this to blend. Looks like I had some sanguine on there. And you just reshape, and in this case clean, your pastel, get it to a point, or you can reshape your blender. So one of these little sandpaper stacky things, I forget what they're called, but I just called a sandpaper sharpener. This little felt bag was just convenient. I think I got it, I might have gotten this on Amazon too. I'll take a look and give you the link if I have it. Paper stumps in all shapes and sizes are really convenient to have if you're drawing anything at all, but with pastels you really can use them. So I just keep everything in here, and whoops, I run away. you get back in there. And one other thing I like to have on hand are these Stabilo All pencils. Now they are, it says aquarellable, which means they are water soluble. They can write on paper, glass, plastic, and metal, and that is true. Let me just show you on this plastic ruler. You see that? They can really write on anything. And you can rub it off or take it off with water. I love these things so much. I like using them to put down my my initial drawing with oil pastels because they will blend in. So I really like that. You could also use a watercolor pencil. Anything like that would work, or an oil pencil. Anything that you want to use to draw. You can use graphite, but I think it's kind of smudgy. These I like a little bit better. The set of pastels I'll be working with today are these Mungyo Aquarelle Oil Pastels. Extra soft, water soluble, they are definitely that. They are made in Korea, and all of the information I have right now is the corresponding numbers and color names, but I will look on their website and I'll see if I can link in the description to any information I can find about lightfastness. I like Mungyo products. They're very affordable, and in fact this set is only $9.50 right now on Amazon as I'm recording this, and I'm recording it on June 26th, 2023. Comes with a little foam sheet to protect them in shipping, and they're placed in this inner tray. So you can just leave them right in here. They can live in here, tuck them in all nicely. I use these fairly often, and you can see I haven't really gone through them too much. There's a lot of pigment. These are really richly pigmented. That's why I like them for a really affordable oil pastel that's water soluble. And again, the water soluble is kind of just a bonus. You don't have to use them as a water soluble media, but today I'm going to. I can't say enough good things about these. The pigments are bright, and you'll see that when we get to the painting. So I just wanted you to make sure that you know that you can really use water-soluble oil pastels, not invest a lot of money, and have a great, great time. The other thing you need to have around you is some rags. I have these old t-shirts that I've cut up, and you're going to want to have them to wipe off your pastels. If you have, let me just show you one here that has some other colors on it, like these yellows. Let's say I was coloring over another color, which you can do with pastels, and then I want to move to a clean space on my board to just put down yellow and only yellow. You just wipe it off on a rag, and you can start off with a clean pastel every single time. So these are just so much fun to work with. I really love them. Like I said, I can't say enough nice things about them, and they're so easy to take care of. If they break, like this one has, it's no big deal. You can still use all of that pigment, and especially I like these because even if there's a little piece down here, like this one, that's still good pigment. You can put that in a palette and use your brush to paint with it. So really nice, really easy to use. So let me just put these back in here. I always get this lid on the wrong direction. And let's take a look at this paper pad. This is really, I'm so happy I got this. I happened to find a coupon on Joann's, which is a craft store here in the United States. And I was able to get it for 50% off, so I'm really happy about that. So do look for sales. The thing I like about this one is not only is it by a great company, Sennelier, it is also supported with a piece of glassine between each page. So let me show you what that means. This is glassine. You have it's a protective layer so that when you're drawing your pastel piece here, you can then lay this over it, close your sketchbook, and not worry about any of that color transferring to the other side. Now you can also get pastel fixatives, and those are some sprays that are available. There are several brands. In fact, there are even some brands you can use for oil pastels. For water-soluble pastels, you may not need a fixative, but it couldn't hurt. So whatever you want to do with a fixative, that's up to you. I'm just keeping these in the sketchbook, so I won't be needing a fixative today, but they often come in an aerosol spray can, and you just lightly spray it on like you would spray paint, and you can do 1 or 2 coats. Follow the directions on the can. They're all kind of different. The other thing you might want to consider is a spray bottle of water. Really easy to find. You can get these at the dollar store. I think my daughter-in-law bought this one and gifted it to our home for use on detangling the kids' hair, but it ended up on my art table, so thanks, Kelly. I also wanted to remind you to put on an apron. Oh my gosh, I was coloring away, having the best time, and like I said, pastels are messy, they get everywhere. I got some crumbs on my brand new white shorts. So that's my bad. I should have worn an apron. I should have known. I didn't even think to look for it. And it's right there. I can see it. It's right over there saying, ha ha, you didn't wear me. But yeah, so protect your clothing, protect your workspace, and gloves. You might want to wear some nitrile or vinyl disposable gloves because a lot of people don't like the feeling of all of this pigment on their hands. It's a messy, messy art, but it's so fun and it's just delightful to work with. So without further ado, let's go ahead and I will show you the time-lapse version of what I did today with Sennelier's Monday Live. It is a painting of Venice. So here I am taping off the edges. Here's another tip I will give you. Try not to tape and then leave white space beyond your tape. I should have gone around that and covered those edges completely because my nice crisp white border isn't very crisp and white beyond those tapes because it is a very messy art. Which all of that is okay because if I decide to take this out of the sketchbook, then I could frame it and cover that with a mat. So all of these tips and tricks that I'm giving you, you know, take them with a grain of salt. What works for you works for you. You don't have to do this the way that I'm doing it, and you should do things the way that you're comfortable with. Art is about self-expression, it's about creativity, and I'm just here to show you the way that I did it, and hopefully I can help you with maybe some things that have stumped you along the way. So that's my goal. I hope you enjoy this process as we go. I just want to say one more thing about this oil pastel pad. It is acid-free, and it does come with 12 pages. It's 340 grams, and it is 30 by 40 centimeters, or 12 inches by 16 3/4 inches. So it's a nice size. And the thing I really, really like about these big sized pads is that you can tape them off and make smaller paintings. So you could do, gosh, you could do 4 little paintings on one page here, and it would be really, really nice. So let me just put up the reference photo real quick so that you can see what I'm drawing. And I'm going in very, very loosely and just really kind of, I didn't really want to make the reference photo 100% like it is as shown, but it's pretty close. It's just kind of a rough expression. I really did this exercise with the intent of just kind of loosening up. This was kind of a warm up for me in my studio, and I haven't used pastels in a very long time. So I really just wanted to get out and play and have fun and get some buildings drawn. Another tip I can give you is use a ruler. If you are having trouble with your perspective lines, go ahead and use a ruler. I wanted mine to look a little bit primitive, so intentionally some of these lines are off, and that is the style I was going for. You can do that too. There's a lot of different ways that you can create art, and I'm going to show you how I did this one. So here's our reference photo today. I really, really liked how it drew you into that far building in the back, and I liked the way the light was hitting everything. This reference photo originated from Pixabay, which is a royalty-free site for artists to use reference photos from, but I found it through Sennelier's Monday Live. I absolutely love attending these tutorials on YouTube because they are free and they are led by none other than Yves-Marie Salanson. He works for Sennelier and he is a very accomplished artist, and he is just so wonderful to learn from. So can't say enough nice things about him and these experiences. Every Monday they do these live things, and if you sign up for them, I'll leave links to everything in the description. If you sign up to attend these virtually, then you're given exactly the time of day that they appear so that you can participate live as they're happening, or since they're on YouTube, you can again consult them later and watch them in your own time. You can use a ruler. Don't shy away from that. I wanted this to look a little bit more primitive, so I'm just kind of sketching things in. And as I went along, I intentionally adjusted the perspective to make it just a little bit off so that it would have just a touch more primitive look. And I changed the buildings a little bit too. So this is kind of my version of Venice, as is all of my art. I always deviate from something. I always kind of try and make it my own. You don't have to do that. You can focus on that reference photo and try and capture all of the subtle nuances that you wish. This is just my style. This is the way that I like to paint. And I hope with these videos that you will certainly gain from that. Either you'll enjoy watching it, or maybe you'll learn a new technique that you haven't yet tried. So now I'm almost done with the drawing. Let me go ahead and we'll do the time lapse now of the actual painting. So now that I've got the drawing done, I just want you to be aware if you are using any kind of a water-soluble media, it will kind of blend in with what you're doing. And in this case, that black pencil is going to be visible, but that's okay. I planned ahead for it. I'm going to end up using that as part of the drawing as well when it's all said and done. So you can see how you just start by blocking in colors. You just make really rough sketches. I'm just really trying to get different values of the colors that I'm using, that I'm selecting to appear in the drawing in various places. Now I'm going to slow it down to real time here for just a little bit so that you can kind of just see this drawing process as it goes. I totally forgot about the boat, and so I decided to put it in. Now I've already painted underneath where I am putting the boat, and that does turn around to bite me a little bit, but I was able to weasel my way out of it and fix it in the end. And I really wanted the boat to be kind of shaped a little bit off angle and whimsical, so you'll see that the drawing might look kind of funny, but that's intentional. So I'm going in now and getting those reflections in, because where we have our light sources in the left behind those buildings, so it's shining through where that shorter building is, hitting the yellow building, and then coming down and reflecting on the water. So all of these buildings on the left will generate that deep, cool blue on the left side, and then the medium blue will be in the middle there, going over more toward the high highlights, the very reflected part on the right-hand side. That's one of the things that really drew me to this reference photo in the first place. I was really excited to do this Monday live with Sennelier because it enabled me to make a lot of expression in the painting, and I really like doing that. When you are painting with pastels, you do have more freedom than you do, say, with watercolor. And that is where you can go over some things, and you'll see how we blend here and what I'm talking about. I'm using that Blick Master Stroke number 10 shader brush, and I'm just dipping it in water. And then it's very, very easy to blend, and you can remove just about all of the pigment lines with this. In fact, I didn't have any pigment lines that were stubborn when I was blending this on the paper surface. If you prefer, you could choose these. You could use these rather as paints in a pan. You could just get the brush wet and paint on the pastel stick, the pigment stick, and then use that as a paint. Or you could cut off a little bit of a piece and put it in a palette. So many different ways that you can use these. I'm just going in and adding these primitively shaped windows, and I like how wonky everything turned out on this first building on the left. I just think it gives it an extra sense of joy and whimsy. But then again, this is my style, so if it's not a way that you enjoy painting, then please, like I said, paint this the way that you would want to. And you can make the buildings any color you want. I ended up adding a lot of purple to use for the shadows, because when you use a color's complement, and that yellow is so prominent over there, I wanted to add some purple into the yellow ochre building, and the gray building will cool it down with purple. Those shadows that are accentuated with purple, when you use those complementary colors, it will really bring your painting to life. If for some reason you're not familiar with that term, complementary colors, they are the colors that are directly opposite one another on the color wheel. So for instance, purple and yellow, red and green, blue and orange. Those are all complementary colors, and that's what gives your painting energy and life. And a lot of times you can use a complementary color in an underpainting and really get a lot of life that way as well. So you can see there I did put the wet brush directly on that pastel, and I'm trying to get some of this pigment down. I'm just kind of testing these really if they can color on a wet surface, and it's not the best. They do much better when you use them to paint on a dry surface. So if you want to get that pigment to lay down beautifully and thickly, then go ahead and use a dry surface, or again, just paint directly from the stick using your brush. So speeding this up again, you can just kind of see this blending process continue. And as I'm working on this painting, I will go over and back and change my mind, make a different decision, decide that something looks better this way than that. And that's what you'll find whenever you're painting, really in any medium at all. When you lay down a color or lay down a value and then you go somewhere else to work on the painting, it might turn out that your original work that you did over there on the other side or wherever it was needs a little bit of tweaking. It either needs to be made lighter or darker or have some other blending done with it. And that's very, very true. What was happening to me over here is that whole left side was looking a little bit blah. Everything was too close in value. So I did go back in with some white toward the end, and you'll see that here. I'm trying to get little highlights around the edges of things and just brighten things up. You'll see on that grayish purple building there, I just added some white, which definitely brought that a bit forward a little bit, adding the shadow coming down on that center back building there at an angle. That worked really well to help bring that light into the picture there. And now I'm just going in and filling in the black for that red building, and now we're going to blend the water. And when you're blending, you want to make sure that you continue to paint and blend in the direction that you want your painting to, your strokes to look. Just in case you can't get that pigment stick blended all the way, it's a good idea to go ahead and draw in the direction that you're going to be moving your brush strokes to blend it. Up here on the left of the sky, I did add a little bit of white right there where the sky touches that building with the curved top. I did a little bit of white, and then I went over that with yellow to help bring that sunlight peeking around the edge of the building, and that just gave that a little bit of a sparkle over there. I'm just making the yellow building here. I'm kind of just filling in the windows with just some general shadows of maybe what the interior wall color would be. And now I'm putting in the reflections of the boat, trying to get some white into the water so that we can see some more reflections, and the other reflection of the side of that building over there. I just really loved how the yellow boat and the yellow building really worked together to create this beautiful pool of sunlight on the water right there. And this is where the boat was giving me a little bit of fits, so I decided to work on the awnings. That's the great thing about painting. If something is stumping you, either get up and walk away from it or just go work on another portion of the painting. You'll be fine. It'll come to you eventually. It always does. And I guarantee you, if you're patient with yourself, you're going to come out with a really nice painting in the end. So here's my little boat coming to fruition here with the reflections in the water. I got that reflection for the post that the boat is tied to, kind of a makeshift dock. I really used a very, very wet, a very thin solution of the pigment in the water, and it really came out nicely. I really liked the way that went on, and it was kind of almost a wet in wet look. This paper, like I said, is acid free. I will check and see, and if it's 100% cotton, I'm not entirely sure, but the point I'm trying to make is using a water media on this, and then again, this is not very much water, but using that water to smooth these out was totally easy, and it was really just a pleasure. I wanted to keep going. I didn't want this painting to end. I'm using this Stabilo all pencil here to just kind of try and finish up a little bit of the detail. I did the wrought iron balcony over there on that grayish purple building, and you can see when I added the white accents on the windows of the red building and that building in the front left, it helped to separate the two of them just a little bit. And now we can move on to some of the final touches of our painting. This is a time when you really want to just look around and assess and see what changes you might want to make. So use your t-shirt rag to take off any layers of pigment that you don't like, and then you can go back in with other pigments and put those right over it. You can continue to paint on top of what you already have. I'm bringing the white down from the top, and I'll go in eventually here and add some salmon pink. There it is right there, just to try and give a little more depth and dimension to this beautiful building over here on the right. I will go in with this darker color. I believe it's the purple, and I'm going to cool this down here and create a little bit more of a shadow. So no, that was the black. Here's the purple coming in. And what that will do is it will help to cool that shadow down on the right-hand side, and it will slightly change that shade of that salmon pink, as you can see, and just really bring those two shades together. Adding some more of that down here below where it might be under shadow a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some shadow to the top here, and you'll see how this works. I've still got that same pigment on my brush, so I haven't added anything new. All I'm doing is blending in a very subtle shadow there, and that's all done just with whatever I already have on the brush. I went down a little too far there, so I just needed to add some of that yellow pigment back, and I wanted to brighten it up even more, so I'll put in a layer of white over it, and I'll just continue to blend that out. My brush is damp, and it's moving this pigment around very, very well. Now I'm going to go in with the white as clean as I can get it and add the highlight on the corner of that building. Now, as far as getting really fine detail in pastels, you would have to sharpen your pastel to a fine point in order to make that happen. But here's why I really like using these Stabilo pencils, because they're very friendly with pastels, they play well together, and you've got your fine point ready to go. I didn't pull out the white Stabilo pencil that I have with this particular drawing today, with this painting, but I do have one, and the white is really pretty opaque and easy to use. I particularly like using the white to make drawings on tinted sketch paper. It's very, very beneficial for that. So now I'm just kind of cleaning up my fingers, and let's see where we stand. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, so I'm going to go ahead and take the tape off, and you can see what I mean by having the smudges go beyond the tape. And again, like I said, this is just going to live in my sketchbook, so it's just fine. I always recommend using a heat tool to help you take off that tape, even if you're using washi tape like I did, which is a low tack tape, simply because it can adhere to your paper if it's been on there for a while. So I'm just going to give this a signature here, and I'm going to call this one done. I hope that by following along my painting of this picture of Venice that I did with the Sennelier Live enabled you to learn a few things and maybe get interested in water-soluble oil pastels. If you haven't tried them already, I really recommend that you do. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope to see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye now.